Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Natalie is Tired. We have recently finished Mouthwashing and I had a lot of thinking, I did a lot of reading, I did a lot of rewatching because obviously like I was editing and looking through and I was like, oh my gosh, I was so oblivious to the things that I've read. And so this is my apology video to Swansea mostly because I hated on that man for what I thought was good reason, but turns out was not a good reason at all. Um, I might do like a little bit of gameplay just so that nothing's going on, so I might just new game it and see what happens. Um, but yeah, as I was looking through, there was a lot that I didn't realize that I missed out on. And as I was reading through other people's things, I was like, oh my gosh, like that makes so much sense. I guess when you're like playing something for the first time, or for me anyway, when I play something for the first time, I'm trying to like complete the puzzles and figure out what's going on so that I'm not actually really seeing everything like the same way that someone who's observing might be. Like I know from looking at other like YouTube channels and things, when I see people playing through a game, I'm like, oh my gosh, like that's right there, that's so obvious, and like the person might be a bit oblivious to what's going on. And I think I was the first person that was being oblivious, and so you guys might have been like, why is she not seeing this? So I do apologize if some of the things I said were like so annoying and dumb, but I'm gonna like go through what I've read and like what the new thoughts and what the new perceptions are and like stuff that actually makes sense because I was so confused. Like I think at one point I was talking about how did Anya get the gun in the case, and it's like she never even touched the gun. She like said she didn't know the lock, she just put it in a safe space, but I was confusing myself with things. So yeah. Um I don't know how long this video will be. Maybe it'll be really short, maybe it'll be really long. But I'm just gonna like start off as well. Like, so we start from the beginning, this one. So part one went through like just um us crashing and everything, getting to know the crew a little bit more. Um, as we remember, it says make the correction to avoid impact, and then we just choose not to. One thing that I didn't notice when I was playing, or that I didn't even notice when I was recording, my partner was watching it with me, and he said, notice where we're sitting. Like, we're sitting in the left side, which if we were Curly, like, let me just see, we came out of this left seat and we sit in this left seat, which shows that it was Jimmy from literally the get-go. Which obviously I didn't notice. But yeah, when Curly speaks to us at one point in the game, he's on the right, he's looking at us on the left. So like it shows it's him. And also just the fact that we don't have the scanner. If we're the captain, we would have had the scanner. And yeah. So those things were quite telling of it not actually having been Pearly and it actually having been Jimmy. So I might like play through a bit, move forward until I remember like another part, and then like once I've caught up to that, when I've remembered like a bit more. So you won't see it, but I'll go through it and yeah, we can explain everything as we're going along a bit more. So at this point as well, like I didn't know because I remember when I was reading online about things, they're talking about how they've only got like 4 months supply of food, which explains why they decided to chomp on Curly. Um, well, why Jimmy decided, because I guess they started running out of food, which is why they're having so much mouthwash. Because this is one thing I wasn't really paying attention to, is like in the time frames, everything was just so like 2 days before and day of the crash and Judgment Day and things. So I wasn't really paying attention. Um, He's saying we're not touching the cargo locked. It's the hold is locked down for a reason. I guess it's because they're like thinking to themselves, oh, how much longer? There might be food, which is why like Anya was saying earlier, like, oh, I hope it's like food, resources and stuff. And then that's why she like broke down. That's why she was freaking out over it being mouthwash because what are they to do? Yeah, because look how they even got the empty cans on the table right in front of us as well. It's interesting that you can like have different dialogue and stuff, based on your choices. Because I think I spoke to everyone the first time I did this. Can you and that woman get on with it? I ain't waiting around all day. Because last time they just appeared, I think I spoke to everyone, and this time we've kind of just ignored everyone because I'm trying to do like the fastest route possible. I also saw online with like her being pregnant and things, and always like asking for him and wanting to avoid Curly. I saw some people saying that kind of relation to the baby, how with her mental health issues and things, how it would just be so difficult to look after another being, like how she's struggling. She's seeing like how much of a struggle it would be in the real world to be like a mother, and like seeing like how resistant Jimmy is. But I don't know where that one's going based off of like the most common views that I've seen of the story, which we'll get into near to the time. Unless it takes ages, then I'll just like do a summary or something. It's also like straight, it shows that Jimmy wants to be in this position of power from the get-go. Like the guy's still the captain. He's not dead. He's alive. And he's like, "Oh, you can't call him Captain so and so. I'm the captain now." Like, no, he's still technically the captain. Like, it's just weird how he just wants the control. Like the whole thing just shows how in control of everything that Jimmy wants to be, and all he does is just makes issues along the way out of his own like selfishness and need for power. People have to be worth their titles. Like once again, like what's that got to do with anything? Like he's just so obsessed with like power and control and I suppose like this is also a starting point. You can see how uncomfortable Jimmy's making her feel. I'll take care of it. He says I'll take care of it so many times as well. Like me, I do everything. Like I don't know. Also, this is also why, like, I guess this is why Jimmy's so, like, not shocked about the situation, because obviously he's done it. But I don't know, like, what ends would make you feel any better? Because we know that it was Jimmy who was at fault. Of course, he's gonna be like, oh, why does it matter? What ends would make you feel any better? And we know it's just Jimmy in his own selfish ways. Like, I also noticed at the end of the game, he tries to repeat what Anya says, and the pony thing cuts him off. And it's kind of like, good, you don't get to use her words for yourself, you know? I don't know. They're also talking about how it must have been agreed that they would keep him in case they needed food. You listening? Yeah, yeah, no, I'm so sorry. Also, like, the reason why I didn't really suspect Jimmy, I suppose, is because she's obviously uncomfortable to speak to him because obviously Curly speaks to him instead. But I think because they were talking about the horses and stuff, I thought it was just because like he's an idiot for things like I found myself sexually excited by cartoon horses. Yeah, like it's more so I suppose it's that he just doesn't take it seriously, so he's annoying to be around rather than the discomfort of like, oh, he's a disgusting human being. Um, but that's also why we see all the horses everywhere. I was calling them dogs because they were making like barking noises, so I just assumed that they were dogs. But no, it doesn't make sense. They were all like horses, like those little chains of things were the horses, which I suppose like is also playing on his mind because he works there and also sexually excited the sight of cartoon horses. Like it's all just what's going on in his conscience, I guess. Or maybe she's just literally making up an excuse to not have to speak to him because as we later find out that Curly and Jimmy are close, so she make because Curly makes out that Curly and Jimmy are close, so she might think, oh, like if I say anything, push this issue any further, then they won't believe me or they won't do what they should do. So she's just made up the scenario to make Pearly do the eval instead of her. So also, I've known him a long time. He won't try any bullshit with me. Like, he said I've known him a long time before as well, and it's like, well, that's really bad if you know that this is what this person's like, and you've let him around on you like that. I don't know where I'm going, but I think I'm going in the right direction. It is interesting seeing like what extra stuff is said. Um, put this away. Yeah, I'm not gonna hit him with it. I suppose it's also kind of like a foreshadowing of a sense, that we're using the axe to get him out of it. He's stuck, and like we've used the axe to save him. Like obviously we used the axe to kill him, but it's saving him in like a messed up way, I guess. Fully collapsed inside. You looking to get impaled, electrocuted, and cooked, and that's literally what happened to him. He got impaled, electrocuted, and cooked, unfortunately. It's weird though because like at this moment in time we are Curly and we're still having these issues because for some reason I thought it was Jimmy the whole time. I guess I just forgot, but it is. This is Curly's experience. I wonder what it means. Because I remember, like, at that point, on the TV towards the end of it, Pearlie just says that he just wants to go home. He's also, like, if this is the point just before, seeing Jimmy, warning emergencies, that, like, their way of saying that, like, big warning, like, Jimmy's an issue? Or is it just what's going on in his mind? Also, there's ladders everywhere, unless it is just, part of the stuff. It looks like ladders. It won't let me turn my head either. Because Jimmy talks about ladders and stuff and like how you're higher up than us and blah 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 blah. So it could just. Mm, I don't know. See, as we were saying at the beginning, there Jimmy is in the seat on the left, which is the seat that he sits in as co-pilot and press the buttons in and cause the crash. So yeah, and then we sit in the pilot seat. I'll just put good for that one. That also means like, is he not really passing his task? His is he not really passing his psychological evaluation? Because you said you've known him for a long time, and you've got like some sort of connection with him, and that you just put, I'll just put good for that one. Like, why would you do that? Unless he's just waffled or something. But I don't know. It could be interpreted as like sometimes, when you just talk about something and you just go on and on and on, and be like, okay, we'll just mark that as good. But it could also just be that he's answered it bad and he's like, oh, wish you didn't tell me that, but I'll just put good for that one. So it could go either way. See, we're in control here. That's the thing about him being up there. Like, he says he's in control here. Like, that's why he wants to be captain so bad. That's why he hates Curly so much and keeps saying, oh, everyone says how much of a good guy you are, how much of a good captain you are. It's so annoying because he wants to be in that position. He wants people to praise and care for him. That's why when Curly's not captain, he can say, I'll take care of it. I'll do this. It's always me that has to do this. I've got a plan. I'll fix this because he's the one that's in control. That's why he gets the gun. That's why, everything has happened the way it is, because that's what he wanted to be. See, like we ran through all those ladders. I want to read what it says in that letter because I didn't read it last time, unless it really just doesn't let you read it. Okay, let's see if it'll let me read the letter. Because it says take news from corporate, but then obviously we find out it's bad news. And that's a take responsibility, which I didn't see last time. Okay, it's empty. So does this, to be fair though, I could see why Curly would also have the take responsibility signs because if he knows what Jimmy is capable of and he's just passed his psych eval for him and he's just like saying, "Oh, don't worry, like he's not gonna do anything. I'll talk to him." Like, not really taking responsibility, are you? So, alright. I'm not watching all of these. I probably would benefit from it, but also with the 99.9% as well, I saw another thing online about that saying like how the 99.9% keeps showing up on the screen like with the mouthwash. It's saying how it kills like 99.9% of bacteria, but there's always that 0.1%, and they're saying like how it might relate to the people on the crew, like it might get rid of 99%, 99.9% of all the bad stuff, but Jimmy's that 0.1% that's left behind. But it's also like, I don't know how much I agree with that. Maybe I've just misremembered it, but the crew's not necessarily bad. Like Daisuke's not bad, Andy's not bad, Swansea's not bad. So, it's not really getting rid of the bad stuff. But it's also with this one, I'm pretty sure Anya was saying that it doesn't really do so well at getting rid of the bad stuff because of the sugar content in it. So, we'll see. Mouthwash. See, the sugar content probably offsets any potential as disinfectant. So maybe that's what they're saying is that, you're supposed to get, it's not doing the job it's meant to do. Like, Jimmy says that he's doing the job he wants to do. He's trying to take control. So 99.9% of stuff is gone, but actually it wasn't effective, like at doing its job, where he wasn't effective at doing the job that he was meant to be doing. I don't know if that makes sense, but we'll find out. Because I was like, oh, why is she getting so upset over mouthwash? It's because they've got no food supply. She was expecting they've got no bandages left for Curly. They've got barely any painkillers left. They've got 4 months supply of food. I think they've been on the ship for a while before that as well, because I suppose they weren't meant to crash, so I guess they're just floating around. So she's panicking. She's like got the most realistic reaction, the most normal reaction to what's going on than everyone else at the minute. Jimmy's just being Jimmy, and then Daisuke's an idiot, and Swansea's just over it. But yeah, suppose they all know they're destined for death to a degree. Especially Swansea, if he knows, because by this point he should know about the utility room and the state of it, I guess. Right, so we're Curly now, and we're about to. I'm reading that letter. Why won't it let me? I guess it just won't let you read it. So let me do that. After all these years, just like that. Yeah, okay. Well, at least I know I didn't miss anything specific that they tell us anyway. Also, let me see. I need to tell them. I wanted to go in there, but I guess not. The toilet and bedrooms. Surprise, yippee! See, like this is the bit where it's kind of like, okay, we're losing our jobs. You can kind of see why Jimmy might, but like when you realize why he did, or like from what I've seen online, realizing what he did versus this, like makes it like, okay, yeah, they can't just do this right. Pony Express wants a last man crew, freight companies. See, like that's another thing. If Pearly had just waited, because it's like you don't know how people are gonna react to those things, and you're in a place in the middle of nowhere, like not even on Earth, I'm assuming. So why would you just, tell him? I know, I suppose he cares and like feels like he has a duty of care, but you know what this guy is like. But I can't keep something like this from you all without the guilt. So she never got into medical school because she's, I suppose, not mentally well. Swansea's close to retirement. The only positive is that Daisuke would come out of it in a beneficial place, and that Curly has options because he was thinking of leaving this career anyway. So, like, of course, it would be more likely for Jimmy to do something because he's like saying, "Oh, I've got a struggle with life, home life isn't good. Why would I want to go back to Earth and deal with all of that?" Um, It's just weird. I feel like Jimmy's just doing a lot of projecting 'cause he wants to be the hero, and it's like, what does that even mean? You can frame it in a way that keeps you as a hero. Like he's not trying to be a hero; he's just doing his job. But I think Jimmy's just not okay. Abandon the crew but remain the model captain. It just doesn't make sense. Oh, I also have another theory for this. No, I understand completely if that's how it has to be. Because they're having this conversation, what I've assumed is that they're saying that like, hey, food's running low. Because what? This is 2 months after the crash now. I think that because they've already made the agreement of keeping Hurley alive for food or just like whatever. I think she's saying if that's how it has to be. I think he's saying that the utility room isn't actually in the state that he said it is, and that he wants to leave the pod for Daisuke because obviously we've weighed up everyone's like situations at the table. Like Anya has no savings. She's gonna go home to nothing. She's gonna struggle. Her life's not looking good. Swansea's got nothing to go home to, essentially. He's around retirement age. No one's gonna want to employ him. Jimmy is the devil, which they probably know because that's why Swansea treats um Jimmy the way he does, because he sucks. And yeah, Curly, look at him. He's, not in the best position. It makes sense for Daisuke to be the one to get out because, as Swansea said, the captain should go down with the ship. And Curly is still technically the captain, like, so I think that's what they're just agreeing on. I might be wrong. Oh, I'm keeping it together. Don't you worry, Captain. It's the way he says, "Don't you worry, Captain." Like it hurts instead. Like, I know who you are. I wonder if they even noticed we're missing back at headquarters. It took a rescue ship so long to get here. I don't think anyone's coming out to get him. If the company's going out of business and they don't seem to care about their workers that much anyway, I don't see why they would have someone save them. I feel like they would just leave them. I know what everyone's thinking the way they look at me. That means that they know, I suppose. I think they know. What could I even say? And then, yeah, exactly. You can't do it. I think they know. Everyone knows. So yeah, before I go any further, the main thing that I've seen online, which I was like shocked to see, but like reading back through everything, is that Jimmy sexually assaulted Anya, which makes more sense as you go through the story itself. Or like watch it back or see it from like not playing through. I mean, I'm sure people have seen it whilst playing through. I might just be oblivious. Um, but yeah, I'm assuming that everyone else knows on ship that who Jimmy is. And that's why he's saying, "Oh, that's why they know they looking at me like, what can I say?" So, what would she do? I I don't know. I guess that's why would he just say that up if he wasn't guilty, you know? Even though he put himself in that situation. And that's why we hear such like loud noises because obviously he's gone and hurt him and like aggressively given him his medication, which also shows like his treatment towards vulnerable people. Anya is a vulnerable person. So it's like if this is what he's doing to Curly, he like literally cannot defend himself. What was going on between him and Anya? Like, you know? I don't know. The thing is, what is he trying to fix? Like he's just been running around like doing nothing. He just wants power, but doesn't want the responsibility that comes with it, I suppose. Like, he literally says he's the captain, like, this is his job to do captain things. And now he's complaining about doing captain things, yet he wants to say, you need to be worthy of your titles, take responsibility, but those are the responsibilities of the captain. Can't even do that. Yeah, he's got to take responsibility. I kind of feel like this whole scenario is something that Jimmy's made up in his head to make himself, to validate himself for literally just killing Swansea. Like maybe Swansea was angry, but like he seemed really um he seemed take this as well. So do we have the gun at this point? Because my hands won't stop shaking. Because that won't let us do that. But the case for the gun isn't in there at this point because Anya has already hidden it by this time. So I'm assuming that we have the gun. We must have the gun unless that isn't the code. Oh, so it's not. I feel like they wanted us to think it was the code scanner, but it's actually the gun. My hands won't stop shaking. Um, I don't know. I think that's what it is. But either he's making that bit up in his head and to justify what he did to Swansea, or it did happen. Swansea was like fed up of his shit because he's gone and destroyed everything, and that's when he pulls out the gun on him. No, because I remember them being in the med room when Swansea came running down the hallway, which also I think he's made it up. I'm just gonna go with it. He's made it up in his head so that he can justify his behavior because that's the kind of person he is. This is 2 days before the crash. Just toss and turn. just under 8 months. So this is before they planned on crashing, so they must have had 8 months worth of food or something left. Like they would have had enough to last, surely. I don't know. Hey, why do you think Pony Express, but not in the sleeping quarters? I think this was also like a big hint to what Jimmy had done. I didn't notice that as well until my partner brought it up as well. That she was saying about putting a lock on the medical room door but not in the sleeping quarters. It shows that Jimmy's gone and done something because we also notice in the game we see Anya in the medical room most of the time, and I guess that's where she feels safe. The gun's in the medical room. Riley's in the medical room, which I also suppose maybe he makes her feel safe to a degree. I'm not entirely sure, but she can lock that door if she needs to. And those are like double safety away from Jimmy. She says, "You are locking away like the thing that's gonna keep me safe, so I'm gonna have to lock myself in here to be safe." For the same reason they put a lock on the cockpit. Safety. So they don't care about safety in the bedrooms. Yeah, look at all the food they've gone through. Maybe they just like gave up and just over consumed. The fact that he figured it out straight away as well. Can't go breaking down every little hardship. You were right. You were right all along. I should have done this from the beginning. Which is really messed up because now that we know what she's done, he's told her she should kill herself, which is disgusting. So I don't know if he's said that to her after finding out she's pregnant. Because he said nothing that will change anything. And then he walked off. I should have done this from the beginning. I always believe that our worst moments didn't define us, didn't make us beyond repair. I don't you think I want this either? Probably talking about the pregnancy. This isn't her worst moment, far from it. It's the best one I'll ever make, which is actually really sad because that's the choice she's made. It's to hurt herself to get away from what's going on. She's clearly had a lot of distressing points in her life because if she's failed like medical and stuff, you can tell she's not doing okay like throughout the whole time. I guess that's her way of like saying, okay, I'll finally be at peace. Like this is where I'm safe. She's locked behind medical room for safety. She's with the gun that was there for her for safety. I don't know. It's just really sad. And he just doesn't care. He's saying, open the door. And she's like, I'll take care of it. And obviously that leads us to believe that she's gonna like maybe put an end to Curly. Maybe she thinks that's the best thing that she could do is to just kill him, put him out of his suffering. But like, well, she's been suffering the whole time, as well. Obviously, it's just different kind of suffering. And I feel like that might just be like another thing as well with the way Jimmy is. He's got such a negative attitude towards everything. Like, oh, Anya can be so extreme and like saying issues with Curly, like, oh, you wanted to leave it so that you could be the hero and abandon your team and things. Like, whereas Daisuke's got a really positive outlook on Swansea, like, and he spends more time with him, so he's gonna be more optimistic. And I know we see Daisuke as a bit of an idiot, but at the same time he listens. He was trying to say, oh, Swansea taught me before he got cut off by Jimmy, and so he's like, oh, it's crazy that like he's done all this work because maybe we're just not seeing a side because we're seeing Swansea through the eyes of Jimmy. That's why Swansea may come across to us a certain way because obviously Swansea doesn't like us for obvious reasons. Um, Whereas like Swansea may be a little bit harsh on Daisuke, but he's could see the good in him, which is why he's willing to teach him. And also doesn't want him to be in this position, I guess. I guess he doesn't want Daisuke to be in the situation that he's in, miserable and like living his life the way he is. Um, so yeah, maybe that was like another telltale sign. Everyone's counting on you like captain's orders, and it's like, take responsibility. Again, you are the captain. If anyone's going through it, it should be you. You should be the one making sure that you're not putting the people in your team in danger. Like, but no, he can tell it's dangerous, and he's saying, "Oh, well, you know it best." Like, I'm pretty sure we know that it just leads straight up to the room. Like, it's probably not that much of a walk. And I don't know. It just shows that he just doesn't care. And he's very manipulative because he's put Daisuke in that position and ultimately it's hurt him. Because remember what Swansea said? He said, like, you're gonna get impaled, electrocuted, and that's literally how he's met his demise, unfortunately. I feel like this part's the most important part of the game of just seeing the extent to what kind of person Jimmy is and the impact that he's had on people like Anya. And also Curly's lack of responsibility and lack of leadership and just lack of doing his job and what he should be doing to keep everyone safe. Which isn't true, because he didn't do anything. Exactly, they are his responsibility. See, she can't open it, but she hid the case itself. That's the thing she says, Captain, I told you. Like, it shows that she's made a complaint about Jimmy before. It shows that she's tried to tell him, which also hints back to why she's asked about why there's no locks on the bedrooms, but there's locks in the medical room and the cockpit. Where have we found her most of the time? We've found her in the cockpit crying or in medical room crying because they have locks on the door where she could be safe from the likes of Jimmy. And he's saying, listen to me, we can fix this. And she's like, I told you. She's speaking to him and he's telling her to listen to him. I've known him for a long time, I'll talk to him. No. See, I know you never give me the gun to protect myself, so the least I can do is make sure he never gets it either. Which also is why I think the Curly laughs when Jimmy takes the gun. He's an absolutely horrible, awful, dangerous person. And I guess he's laughing at the irony of Anya hid it to protect everyone from him and herself from him, and now he's got it and he's just gonna wreak havoc, like Anya essentially said. It's actually a really sad situation. I think that's why like Swansea's so upset because obviously he was saving that pod for Daisuke for him to awake and like this has now happened. And he can acknowledge that like Daisuke's trying his best, he can acknowledge his work ethic and like that yeah, he's a bit of an idiot, but like he's got the best intentions, unlike people like Jimmy. And I guess it's just like look where he is. It looks like he's been punched through his heart, I guess. So the likelihood of surviving just isn't there. So I still don't know why he slashed him in the face, but I don't know. Well, at least he died instantly. Exactly. He won't suffer one more second because of you. That's the thing. Everyone's pain has been dragged out because of Jimmy. Look at Curly. His pain's being dragged out. Anya's pain was dragged out. Daisuke, his pain was being dragged out. And Swansea was like, no, I'm not going to let more people suffer because of you. Like, this whole reason why everyone is in the situation they're in is because Jimmy doesn't want to deal with the consequences of his actions when he comes back to Earth. So what you've been hiding. And that's why he finds it funny. He says he spoke to her. It was her telling him sorts of things, wasn't it? It was her telling Swansea the type of person that Jimmy is, and that's why he's been feeling the way he is. Shouldn't the captain go down with his ship? So he's got nowhere to be. He's got nowhere to go home to. Like he's like, I'm just gonna live my days out like as they are. Like he doesn't care. See, tell him whatever story you like, and that's the case. He wants to be the hero. He's saying, "Oh, I'll fix it. It's me that does everything. I have all this responsibility to do X, Y, and Z." Like so, and he's like, "Yeah, you've earned it. You've caused all this chaos. You've done all of this. You've killed three, almost like the entire crew at this point." And I guess that's also probably why Jimmy's gone and killed Swansea because he doesn't want anyone around knowing what kind of person he is. Whereas, like, the reason why he had more care for Curly is because they're besties. Like, they've got each other's backs, you know. And Curly's probably not going to even live to tell the tale anyway. Whereas Swansea's the only person that's like functioning enough to be able to say anything. So. Maybe also that's why we see Swansea chasing us down and stuff because we get to go and make up whatever story we like. We get to say that things went a certain way. Oh, I was just defending myself, rather than what was actually real. I'm gonna see if I can remember. Obviously this is just like such a tragic finding. Like we just come in there and she's gone and hurt herself. I don't know if he's crying or if he's laughing. It sounds like he's laughing, but I feel like we said, like she locked herself in this room for safety. You can see the handprint, Daisuke's handprint, as he's had to get out of the room, dragged his way across because she's obviously dead. And she kept it. She kept the gun with the captain. She kept it with someone safe who was meant to protect her, the person that was meant to protect her from Jimmy. She stayed in this room for safety, and she wasn't kept safe, unfortunately. Obviously, I don't know. It's just really, really sad when you like look back through everything and see everything the way it is. I want to see what happens if he does run at us. Oh, we just can't. And we see her like that's where she's put it. I told him you should have waited for me. It's like why should she wait for him? Like it's one day, it's 0 days before. You've not said anything since now, and you're like, oh, you should have waited. I know him. What did he say? Nothing that makes any difference. So that's I feel like that's where he's told her to end her life. Did he seem angry? Where did he go? He just walked away. Kelly, I don't want him in here anymore, which is completely valid. Everything's gonna be okay. Well, is it like you're saying, oh, I need to find this guy? You're not like caring for her. You're like, oh, let me go find him instead. 'Cause, yeah, that's the more important person. Oh, do you reckon that's why he's in the cockpit then as well? Because he was gonna try and get the gun. We can't find it. Because I don't know. I can fix this. What do you think will happen when we get back exactly? He wants to completely take himself away from all responsibility. Hmm? And it's just, why is he saying we'll fix this together? Why does he have so much empathy for a rapist? Why does he have so much care? Like, he's saying, oh, like, the way that they speak to Anya and the way that they treat her in comparison, it's kind of like, well, Curly, you've got your fate, you're living in it now. And Jimmy's just going around being an a-hole. Everything you and I work for our lives, accomplishments, changes, none of it will matter. I think that's really weird of a thing to say as well. You've gotten through difficult situations before. This time won't be any different. Does that mean that he's gotten away with doing shitty things and because Curly's his friend, you just gotta work through it one day at a time? Like, we'll fix this. Like, what? Like, why are you empathizing with someone that's done some dodgy stuff? And that's also why, like, take responsibility. It's not just me, is it? You were supposed to be the one who had everything under control. You said so yourself. So what does that even mean? Shit, let's screw everything that happened. Everything that happened here. Mm, this was your responsibility. So now he's blaming him for his actions towards his crewmates. Or and that's what they're doing. They're plotting. Curly didn't exactly stop him. Jimmy was like, "Oh, I'll take care of it," and then Curly was like, "Oh dear, oops." So bad. So I'm gonna leave it at this bit to be fair, because obviously we see like a lot of Jimmy having to reap what he sows, I guess, like dealing with the aftermath of his behavior and like he goes through those like he listens to Swansea's story about like his life and everything, saying like, "Hey, I know who I am, but you don't. Like, you suck," and that's clearly hurt Jimmy's ego, and so he just killed him. And then Jimmy's like, "Oh, it's just me and you, bud," and like saves Curly and everything. And this just shows like how desperate he wants like the attention and the acknowledgement that he's like envisioning a birthday party that's been thrown by him. I don't know if this is even him like hallucinating or if he's literally put the people there at the table to reenact the birthday like party, and because he's got no food he's just decided to chop up Curly. But yeah, like the whole rest of it is just like messed up, sort of like going through, I guess, the deepness of his conscience. And even if it's not, it's just like showing, like, I don't know, I think it is like the deepness of his conscience. Like, he sees the horse babies and stuff, and, giving birth to horses, like, just messed up, dark things, feeding, Curly his own leg, and just shows how dark his mind is and how it goes. And like all it says is take responsibility, and he's running away from his responsibility, doing literally everything he can to get away from it. Like to the point where he's like, "Oh, I'll put you in this pod so I can be the hero." And when you're found, you can say like blah 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 blah. Blah. And he says, "I'm taking responsibility now. We did it." And then he says, "I did it," which shows like how selfish he is still. He still has learned absolutely nothing. He's still, you know, there's no development, no improvement to who he is as a person. And instead of like, he could have easily have put himself in that. Everyone else is destined for death. Like, it's unlikely that even if Curly is found, that they're going to be able to save him after those 20 years, help him out, and he'll live his best life. Like, what quality of life does he have left? Once again, he's dragging out someone's suffering. He could have gotten that pod himself, considering that's what he wanted anyway, and confessed to his wrongdoings and taken responsibility and received real life punishment for it if things did work out for him to like that they were found. But no, instead he decides to end his life, um, which one could say is like taking the easy way out in his situation. Obviously for Anya, it wasn't the easy way out for her because she was enduring a lot of suffering herself. She was in so much pain. She was trying to escape everything that she was going through. She had nothing to go for at home, no support, no safety. Like all of that was wiped from her. So, as she said, that was the best thing she could have done, which is so like upsetting that she's gone through that. But Jimmy is just like, bang, gone. I did everything. I was the hero. I know I can die, knowing that I did it. I was the one who saved Curly. Like he feels that his actions are right. But yeah, I'm gonna end it there because I don't want to chop into people's legs again and feed people their legs and see babies and shoot Swansea and all those things. Like, yeah. It's a lot. I'm also gonna like find a summary summary just in case like I look through this and think, "Oh, none of that made sense." So, yeah, I've heard like a lot of theories online, which is really good, and it really just does change your perspective. But I also want to say a big sorry to Swansea because I was his biggest hater in part 3. Have been his hater like the whole series. But yeah. I completely misinterpreted everything, but like going back through it, it's like the signs are quite clearly there. Um, but yeah, I'm gonna try and find something that's like a good summary and then read it to you guys so that it makes sense. Right, so like a summary of it would just be that So we start off the game, we're on the ship, it's their last haul. They don't know what it is. The company's falling apart. Jimmy shows his envy of his captain a lot, and the crew's kind of just like, living their best lives. Anya's not okay. She's had mental health issues from the get-go. She feels uncomfortable being around Jimmy, which she tries to explain to the captain, who doesn't really express much concern on the premise that he knows Jimmy and he'll sort it out. Um, they one day get the news that they're all like being fired or like being let go from their jobs. They're all around the table discussing it. Jimmy's like, it's not giving. None of us have really got anything to go back to. So I guess that's like part one of the reason of why they would decide to crash. Why Jimmy would decide to crash. And then you like seeing the aftermath of the events. And just before the crash, Anya's asking things like, "Oh, why have they not got locks in the bedrooms?" And said like they've got it on medical and in the cockpit for safety reasons. And she's saying she doesn't want to do the psychological evaluation um with Jimmy because he's weird and makes her uncomfortable. And he's like, "Okay, I'll handle it." And then they have their conversation. I think I mixed up the times a little bit, but all of those happen in like a roundabout way, which gets to the point of Anya hiding the gun after hearing the news they've all been let go. And she's saying that she's pregnant, she told him, and then Jimmy's like, "Well, the repercussions of like my actions and it's your fault as well." So he's like threatening Hurley into saying like you're the captain, it's your responsibility as well. Like you should have stopped this from happening. So it's not going to look good on me, and it's not going to look good on you. If we just never made it back, like it's fine. And it's like what a dramatic thing to like not accept responsibility. And so obviously everything that happens after that happens. People are drinking the mouthwash, they're being intoxicated. I saw one theory that's saying, or like one summary saying that because they've been drinking mouthwash, living off of it, like everyone's just going crazy in their own ways, I suppose. Not quite in good state of minds themselves, which is causing issues to worsen on the ship. But obviously, most of those issues are worsened by Jimmy himself, like he is the issue. Jimmy's like, oh, high and mighty, Swansea doesn't like him. I assume that Anya and Swansea have had a conversation saying like, hey, supplies are running low, we're destined to die, I think we should give it to Daisuke, and is kind of like coming to terms with that. I think that's also why she ended her life, out of like not wanting to be around Jimmy, not feeling safe anymore, and also like she would rather just die than like continue her suffering. Like, she doesn't even have the nutrients. If she's having like a baby, she doesn't have the nutrients to like have a healthy pregnancy or anything. Like she's in the middle of space with no food and can only drink mouthwash at this point in time. Either drink mouthwash or eat your previous captain. It's not really the best conditions. So she chose death, unfortunately, probably knowing that they wanted to save this pod for Daisuke, who would have been able to go home to like his parents and like actually go somewhere in life after that, I suppose. Um, so yeah, Jimmy finds them having that conversation, gets annoyed, probably like, oh, why are they like shit talking me because I've done bad things and blah blah blah. I'm the captain, I should be in control. And so yeah, all that happens. Then what happens after that? Yeah, Anya dies, Asuki dies. Swansea, he gets killed by Jimmy, but I'm not entirely sure over like whether Jimmy was just hallucinating, Swansea chasing after him, or if Swansea did just get mad and was like, fuck this guy, like I want him to die. And then obviously he ends up tying him up, and then he has this conversation, shoots him, and yeah, all of that. And then after that, I guess Jimmy goes further, like gets even crazier than he currently is. Um, and starts like hallucinating and having visions of like his crewmates and things like look at him right now where he is. He's propped everyone up on his table and thinks they're alive, saying happy birthday to him, which I'm pretty sure they are not. And yes, some of the summaries are saying like he's gone into that like mental state where he's like seeing the wrongdoings that he's done to his crew members, but just avoiding the responsibility. Like he can see how messed up everything is and like what he's done, but he's just like, oh, I'm just gonna be the hero anyway. Like it's fine. I have to do everything. Oh my gosh. And so he thinks like being a captain, taking responsibility is saving Curly, which it is not. And then he kills himself, thinking that he's a hero. Um, so yeah, there's like a couple things I missed out on. With the mouthwashing as well, I did see like a good review, like a good summary or like meaning to it, saying like mouthwashing could represent like the captain and like the sugar content, saying like his inability to like do things as he should, which is like so he's ineffective as a captain, like because the mouthwash is mostly sugar, it's ineffective as a disinfectant, same way that because the captain was too like on both sides, even though he shouldn't be, he's been ineffective as a captain, and if he had just not let Jimmy do whatever he wanted to do, they wouldn't be in this situation. Also, there was another one. Yeah, there was another one about Jimmy not being able to take 100% of his responsibility, like 99.9% of the job gets done. Like Jimmy can't take responsibility. And it shows in the disclaimer on the mouthwash video that the company won't take responsibility for any harm caused. And it's like, well, that's what Jimmy did. He's not taking responsibility for the harm caused. So there's like a lot of theories and ideas out there that like really broaden your view and perspective and broadened my view and perspective on this game. And I feel like even playing it through, I was like, oh my gosh, how did I miss that? And it makes a lot more sense. And I feel like there's even more stuff that probably hasn't been touched on or missed out has been missed out. But yeah, I think it's like a really interesting game when you look at it like a second time round and see how everything panned out and see how one person's actions can like completely mess things up. Like just the effect that it has and how he just still just doesn't care. Like he says he's sorry. The only person he's sorry he says he fucked up and he says he's sorry to Curly, but he's not sorry to Anya, Daisuke, Swansea. Like he just doesn't care. Like even in the graveyard scene when he's being chased around by Daisuke, like he's still shooting him, not Daisuke, by Swansea. He's still like I don't know. He's only caring about protecting himself, um, and only caring about what's good for him. So, yeah. I don't know. I feel like it's a lot to think about. I think I'll be thinking about this game for a while, and I'll probably still be looking more into like other theories and ideas, but I kind of just wanted to redeem myself from the last video just because I was looking back and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so clueless. Like talking about dogs when it's like obviously it's the horses. But then it's also like I think Swansea one of his notes was like talk about dog and pony tricks. So maybe they were dogs, but like the dog and pony trick, it's just that we lost that part because we didn't have all those interactions. Um Yeah, it's messed up. It's really sad. It's really sad for Anya. I feel like she's had such an awful time. It's really sad for all of them besides Jimmy and Loki besides Curly because Curly should have done his job. Like, if everyone's saying that Curly is such a good captain, why was he not such a good captain to Anya? And when it came to his friend, like just the fact that he was reassuring him, saying like, "Hey, you've got through hard things before. We're gonna work this out." It's like, no, you're a captain, and one of your crewmates has accused or like said that they have been sexually assaulted by another member. You should be taking that seriously and not telling the person that was accused that you'll work this out. Like that is not funny. I'm just like laughing at the situation, but it's just messed up. But yeah, I think it all plays a big theme. I don't even know. Yeah, it just sucks. But it's very interesting. And the eyes, someone's always watching him. There's just so much that you could talk about and go into, but so little time. But yeah, once again, please leave a comment on your thoughts, or like if you think there's anything that I've missed out on, or anything you think other people have missed out on and like their summaries. Um, I'd be really interested to see what you guys think. And yeah, if you like the video, please leave a like. If you're enjoying my channel so far, please subscribe. I really hope you enjoyed this series, this game. So I really enjoyed it, even though I was confused like the first playthrough and like had to read into it to understand it a bit more. It made the second playthrough more enjoyable and my understanding, well, enjoyable in like an interesting way rather than enjoying because I like bad things happening to good people. um but yeah, anyway, I hope to see you in the next video. We should have another game coming up soon. I don't know what I'll be playing next. If I might go into something more spooky, or I might go into something a bit more chill this time. But I will see you in the next video otherwise. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a lovely rest of your day. Goodbye.